Reading Myanmar, Symbols, Lesson 4. Now occasionally you're going to see a combination of these special symbols. Here's our first example of that, and we're going to consider them with the use of these two consonants, which they're typically used with. This combination combines the middle Y sound with the middle W sound. And again, you'll note that there's a small and a large size for that typical middle Y symbol. But the middle W symbol stays the same. It's just a combination of these two symbols. So the pronunciation for them is described best as the letters JW for the first or CHW for the second. There are no words in English I can think of to compare that to. So it would be pronounced, that first letter would be pronounced jwa, jwa. And the second, chwa, chwa. On the language app, you'll find it romanized by the letters KYW or CHW, and in the dictionary by either JW or CHW. Its usage is very seldom, and again it has two forms, and there are two sizes of that first form. So let's look at some examples of this combination of symbols. The first is the word for to be familiar with, and it's pronounced juin, juin. The next is the word for muscle, jouet, jouet. And the third is the word for sweat, chui, chui. Now, there's an exception to this, something you need to be aware of. With the addition of this vowel symbol, remember this is a vowel symbol, it's now combined with what is in essence that middle W symbol. And the middle Y is just pronounced with the J or the CH sound. So if it was combined with the first consonant, it would be June, which is a word used on the language app for slave or servant. If it was combined with the second consonant, it would be Chung. So that gets a little bit tricky to have to remember. That's the exception to this pronunciation. So we look on the language app under the heading Relationships, and the phrase for to get to know someone utilizes this combination of symbols. Let's look at the next combination that we have. We're going to use it in combination with these two consonants. This particular combination is a combination of aspiration with the middle Y sound. So its pronunciation is, we aspirate the consonant and follow that by a Y sound. Again, we're going to be hard-pressed to find any words in English to compare that to. So let's look at our first consonant there, the first letter that we have. It would be aspirated followed by a Y, so it would sound like mya, mya. The second letter would be hya, hya. A little difficult to make those sounds at first, but you'll be able to do it. The romanized form then is spelled out on both the language app and in the dictionary as an H followed by the sound of the consonant and then a Y. So let's look again at our two consonants here, the examples we're using. The first would be spelled HMY and the second HLY. Its usage is very seldom, but here are some words that you may see. Two of them are on the language app. The word for hope, myo, myo. The word for if, hlien, hlien. And the word for share, mya, mya. So now from the language app under the section Hope and Patience, I've chosen the word for hope, and it uses this symbol. Now, there's an exception we have to discuss when it comes to the use of this combination of symbols, and it happens with this letter. Now, we've already used this letter previously with this combination of symbols, and we said it was an HLY sound. Hya. However, sometimes with some words it's pronounced differently. So the combination is the same. It's the symbol for aspiration combined with a symbol for the middle Y. But in some words its pronunciation is like the letters SH, as in shoe. It's romanized on the language app and in the dictionary using SH. That's easy to read. Its usage is seldom, but you will be using it because the word for walk, shout, is very common. The word for tongue, sha. So let's look at it here in this phrase I've selected. To follow a principle, it comes from the section Laws and Rules. And it uses this symbol with an SH pronunciation. Let's move to our last symbol here. And for this symbol, we're going to use these two consonants to determine how to pronounce it. This combination combines the aspiration symbol with the middle W symbol. The last combination was aspiration with middle Y. This is aspiration with middle W. So the pronunciation is we aspirate the consonant and then we follow it with a W sound. So to demonstrate that, let's look at these two consonants. The first is the consonant ma. So we would aspirate it, follow it with a W, and it would sound like mwa, mwa. And the second one would be hua, hua. So once again, the romanized form on both the language app and the dictionary are the same. It begins with the letter H, which indicates that aspiration, then the consonant followed by a W. So with these two consonants, it would be HMW. The second one would be HLW. Its usage also is very seldom. However, here are a couple of examples that you're going to find on the language app. The word for fur, amwe, and the word for cover, huan. Now that second word is the word I've chosen from the language app under the heading The Flood. This is actually the word for the flood. It's a combination really of 4 different words, being in order water, to cover, rain, and disaster. So there's your symbol, your combination symbol as it's used here. However, there's also an exception to this pronunciation rule, and it happens when we combine it with this letter. Now the combination symbols are the same. It's an aspiration symbol followed by the middle W. But in this case, when you see it with this letter, it's pronounced like the letter SH in the word shoe, followed by a W sound. No English words I can think of, but there is a High German word that you may be familiar with because it's the name of a very popular bicycle, Schwinn. That basically is the sound we're making when we see these two combined together. So on the language app and in the dictionary, we'll see it romanized as the letters SHW. Its usage is very seldom, but here are a couple of words you'll see it in. The word for gold, shui, and the word for happy, shuin. And from the language app, the phrase to transfer something comes from the section on Jesus Christ. And that finishes this lesson.